California's sunshine should have been warm and gentle, but at this moment, it cut like forged gold leaf through the gaps in the living room blinds, casting sharp, jagged shadows across the ancestral mahogany dining table. I clutched a cold glass, my fingertips unconsciously brushing its non-slip ridges as a chill spread from my fingers to my heart. The low hum of the refrigerator compressor filled the air, overshadowed only by the grating sound of Lena scraping her silver fork against the plate, deliberate provocation, plain and simple. It was the day before Thanksgiving, and my parents had specially called for an important meeting about the family's future. I'd cut short my gene editing experiment at Stanford 3 days early, driving 3 hours home from Palo Alto. Even my lab colleagues joked, Ella's finally going to be entrusted with the family legacy. Prompt as always, Ella. My mother Margot sat at the head of the table, her pearl necklace glinting with cold, fragmented light in the sun. She maintained her usual socialite elegance, but her eyes held no warmth of a long-awaited reunion, only a detached, scrutinizing distance. My father Samuel sat beside her, his fingers clasped so tightly on the table that his knuckles whitened, his brows furrowed into a deep crease as if brewing a storm too terrible to speak of. Lena leaned against my father, wearing the limited edition cashmere sweater I'd bought her with my first month's internship salary. A triumphant smirk played at her lips, and her gaze flicked to me with unmasked provocation and greed. Gone was the timid, frightened girl of years past. I set down my glass, forcing down an inexplicable sense of unease to offer a gentle smile. Mom, Dad, why the urgent meeting? Is it about Lena's college plans? I noticed she's been researching USC's art program. I know a professor there who could write her a recommendation. Lena was their adopted daughter, 3 years younger than me. They'd adopted her while volunteering in Ethiopia, and had doted on her like a treasure ever since. When she first came home, she was as thin as a scared kitten, clinging to my sleeve and calling me sister. I'd given her my most prized limited edition Barbie doll and vowed to protect this bloodless sibling forever. I'd always believed we were a family bound not by blood, but by love. Margot ignored my question, slowly picking up a document from the table and slamming it in front of me. The bold black words, Property Distribution Agreement, seared my eyes like a red-hot iron. My heart skipped a beat, then hammered wildly in my chest as my fingertips went icy cold. Ella, your father and I have decided to gift all our assets, this house, the Santa Barbara Beach Villa, all shares in Samuel Technologies, and your grandmother's jewelry and trust fund, to Lena, unconditionally. Her voice was as calm as a frozen lake, no ripple of emotion, as if announcing something that had nothing to do with me. Why? My voice trembled, rough as sandpaper. The mahogany table's grain twisted and blurred before my eyes, and long-buried memories surged forth, 10 years old, writhing on the floor with acute appendicitis, while my father took Lena to Disneyland because she'd thrown a tantrum, leaving the butler to drive me to the hospital, my 12th birthday, waiting eagerly for the cake my mother had promised, only to find she'd taken Lena to a Broadway show in New York, leaving nothing but a note that said, "Happy birthday, 15, coming home." Begging for help after being bullied at school, only for my parents to scold me for not being tolerant enough and starting trouble, while hiring 3 bodyguards to escort Lena to and from classes. Samuel finally looked up, but his gaze avoided mine, drifting to the olive tree I'd planted as a child outside the window. Ella, you're a Stanford PhD, a director at a top biotech firm, your salary is 10 times Lena's. You don't need our money. It's not about needing it. I shot to my feet, my chair scraping against the floor with a shrill scream, like the sound of my heart tearing in two. It's about fairness. I'm your biological daughter, she's adopted. Why are you leaving her everything? Tears poured uncontrollably, soaking the document and blurring the ink. Have you forgotten? When the company was on the brink of bankruptcy, I turned down a full scholarship to Harvard to stay and manage the finances, to run the business for you? Have you forgotten? Lena's 18th birthday party cost $2 million, while you didn't even throw me a proper dinner, Just said I was too old for such nonsense. Have you forgotten? When Mom had a heart attack last year, I sat outside the operating room for 3 days and nights, signing the critical care forms, while Lena was on vacation in the Maldives and didn't even call? Margot's face darkened instantly, her voice cutting like a knife. Watch your tone, Ella. Lena never had biological parents. What's wrong with us compensating her? In our eyes, you're both our daughters. Both your daughters? I laughed through my tears, my chest aching so fiercely I could barely breathe. If we're both your daughters, why did you fly in a limited edition bag for her the next day when she asked for it, but told me, it's a waste of money, borrow it from the library, when I wanted a textbook? If we're both your daughters, why did you pay a fortune to buy Lena a spot at USC when she failed her college entrance exams, but didn't even attend my Stanford graduation, just because Lena said it clashed with her art exhibition? If we're both your daughters, why did you secretly change the name on Grandma's sapphire ring, which she specifically left me as a wedding gift, to Lena's? Lena finally lifted her head, her innocent mask shattering to reveal her greedy true self. Sister, that's not fair. Mom and Dad want to give me this because I'm more grateful than you. You're always busy with work, barely coming home once a year, while I've been by their side, taking care of them. This money was always mine to have. Taking care of them? I couldn't believe my ears. Is that what you call it, maxing out their credit cards on luxury goods, letting the maid cook while you won't even pour them a glass of water, ditching them when they're sick to go traveling? Lena, be honest, do you love this family, or just its money? Ella. You've disappointed us more than we can say. Samuel slammed his fist on the table, sending the silverware rattling. Lena is 100 times more sensible than you. You'll get married eventually, become someone else's family, leaving you our assets would be giving them to strangers. Lena will stay with us forever, take care of us in our old age. Stranger. Those 2 words pierced my heart like a poison dagger. I stared at the 3 people I'd once loved most, feeling utterly alienated from them. Just because I'm a daughter, just because I'll build a family of my own someday, I'll always be an outsider to you? Just because Lena's adopted, you think she can't survive without you, so she gets to take everything? Did you ever stop to think that I worked so hard to be excellent not because I wanted you to think I didn't need you, but because I wanted to make you proud? Did you ever think I needed a parent's love too, that I deserved fairness, that I needed a warm haven when I was wronged? I thought of Grandma, the only person who'd ever truly protected me. When my parents were too busy with work, Grandma had walked me to and from school every day, baking my favorite apple pie in her kitchen. When I was 10 and neglected by my parents, burning with a high fever, Grandma had carried me to the hospital in a rainstorm, sitting by my bed all night, stroking my forehead with her wrinkled hand. When I was bullied at 15, Grandma had marched to the school, pointing her finger at the principal and declaring, my Ella did nothing wrong, on her deathbed. She'd called me to her side, trembling as she took the sapphire ring from her jewelry box and slipped it on my finger. Ella, this was my wedding dowry, now it's yours. Remember, no matter what happens, always love yourself. Don't let others' coldness make you doubt your worth. Grandma had also secretly left me a trust fund, whispering, if you ever need help, you don't have to beg anyone. Grandma will always be your support. I'd never imagined that as soon as she was gone, my parents would tamper with her will, transferring both the ring and the fund to Lena. The agreement is signed and witnessed by a lawyer, there's no going back. Margot's tone was final, like a death sentence. We called you here today just to inform you. We hope you won't make a scene and ruin our family's harmony. I picked up the agreement, staring at my parents' sloppy signatures and the lawyer's bright red seal. My head spun. The document clearly stated that I was voluntarily renouncing all inheritance rights, but I'd never signed it. It was a forgery. You forged my signature. You broke the law just to give Lena everything. I hurled the agreement onto the table, scattering the pages everywhere. You're not fit to be parents. This house, this so-called home, I don't want it. From today, we're disowned. You're no longer my parents, and I'll never come back. I turned toward the door, my feet heavy as lead, each step crushing my broken heart. At the threshold, I paused, not looking back. I wish you and your sensible daughter all the happiness in the world. Pushing open the door, California's sunshine blazed so brightly it blinded me. I didn't get in my car, but wandered aimlessly down the street. The cheerful music from a nearby cafe, couples holding hands, children laughing in the park, everything seemed so perfect, yet I felt utterly disconnected from it all. I walked for hours until I reached the beach, where the Pacific wind whipped at my face, cold and salty. Wave after wave crashed against the shore, as if crying out endless sorrow. I sat on a reef, pulling Grandma's old pocket watch from my pocket. Engraved on the dial were the words, love and freedom, her wish for me. Tears fell again, dripping onto the watch and catching the faint light. As night fell, the wind grew stronger. I stood up, brushing sand from my clothes, and stared at the city lights in the distance. They shone brightly, but not a single one was lit for me. Yet I knew I couldn't wallow in grief forever. Grandma had left me more than just a trust fund, she'd given me the courage to face adversity. I had a Stanford PhD, a job I loved, the ability to support myself, and the power to build a life of my own. I pulled out my phone and called my best friend Isabella. When she answered, I choked out, I don't have a home anymore. Isabella didn't ask questions, just said softly, Ella, come to my place. I'll make you hot cocoa, your room is always ready. Hanging up, I took a deep breath and turned toward Isabella's house. The sea wind was still cold, but a faint spark of hope ignited in my chest. Maybe I'd never needed that cold, unfair home, or that false love. I could make it on my own, live better, brighter, and more fiercely than ever. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. In that time, I'd made my mark in biotech, founding my own company and developing a drug for rare diseases that helped thousands of people. I'd met someone who truly loved me, building a small family of our own. My husband was kind and attentive, our daughter lively and sweet, and our home was always filled with laughter. I'd thought I'd left the past behind for good, that the people who'd hurt me would never reappear in my life. Then one day, I was in a board meeting at my company when my assistant knocked on the door, looking troubled. Miss Ella, there are 2 elderly people outside claiming to be your parents. They want to see you. My heart sank. I fell silent for a moment, then said, tell them to leave. I don't know them. But a few minutes later, my assistant returned. They won't go. They say it's an emergency, and that Miss Lena kicked them out. I froze, then let out a bitter laugh. I'd heard the rumors. After inheriting the fortune, Lena had spent recklessly, selling the company's shares at rock-bottom prices, mortgaging the villas and properties to fund her luxury purchases and gambling. She'd been cruel to my parents, refusing to care for them, even hitting and yelling at them, before finally throwing them out onto the street, homeless. I agreed to see them in the end. In 5 years, they'd aged drastically, their hair was white, their backs hunched, all their former arrogance gone. When they saw me, they dropped to their knees, tears streaming down their faces. Ella, we were wrong. We never should have treated you that way, never should have let Lena fool us. Forgive us, please, give us a place to live out our old age. We'll make it up to you, we promise. Looking at their humble, desperate faces, I felt no sympathy, only overwhelming sadness. They'd treated me like an outsider, giving all their love and money to Lena. Now that she'd abandoned them, they'd remembered their biological daughter. Their apology wasn't because they'd realized they'd wronged me, but because they had nowhere else to go, because they needed the outsider to support them in their old age. I helped them to their feet, my voice calm. I won't forgive you, and I won't support you. The day you made that decision, you should have known the consequences. I once longed for your love, for fairness, but you disappointed me again and again, hurt me again and again. Now I have my own family, people who truly love me. I won't let the past overshadow my life anymore. I pulled a check from my wallet and handed it to them. This is enough to rent you a place and live comfortably for the rest of your lives. From now on, we're strangers, never contact me again. My parents stared at the check, their faces ashen, their lips trembling. They tried to speak, but no words came out. They just walked away, dejected and defeated. Watching their retreating figures, I felt no regret, only a sense of profound relief. That Thanksgiving meeting around the mahogany table had been a sharp knife, severing the false bond between my parents and me, revealing the coldness and selfishness beneath. But that knife had also set me free, taught me to be independent, to be strong, to grow through adversity, and to love myself. Once, I'd seen outsider as an insult, a mark of abandonment. But now I understood, it was a liberation, a freedom. It had freed me from the chains of my birth family, from the weight of unmet expectations, and given me the chance to pursue the life I'd always wanted. A true family isn't bound by blood, but by love and fairness. True worth isn't defined by a parent's inheritance, but by one's own hard work and achievements. The people who'd hurt me, the injustice I'd suffered, they'd all become stepping stones, making me stronger, more independent, more grateful for the happiness I had now. My future doesn't depend on handouts or false family ties. It depends on my own hands, on building something real, step by step. Because I know the only person I can ever truly rely on is myself, and the only thing that can define me is the strength and freedom of my own heart.